How you doing? I'm Henry Charles. I'm a captain with Loudoun County Fire and Rescue. I'm assigned to Rescue Company 620, located in Leesburg, and we just started working on finalizing our 2 new rescues that we built. So a couple things. It's the brand new, it's a Velocity cab. It's the heavy duty rescue body. All through here, we have some of the most new type of equipment, like with the hand controls on the steering wheel. That way you can access the emergency controls, the lights, air horns, things like that. That's worked out quite, it's pretty nice. That way we don't have to take your hands and stuff like that off of the wheel to be able to make some of those connections. We also went with a clean cab concept with all the seats. Moving from there, we have a driver's compartment right here. We got power in here for things like flashlights, thermal imagers, things like that. This is also where the driver can stow their air pack, any additional gear, helmets, things like that. Moving into the crew cab, we have a whole bunch of different types of compartments throughout. One of which is a location here. This is often for meters, some of the commonly used tools, things like that. Could be EMS gloves. We also have a slew of additional compartments that are located up through here, as well as all through the backside. This can be for anything from traffic vests, rope harnesses, tech rescue helmets, any type of ancillary equipment that the individual firefighters bring on with them. We have all the equipped hands-free wireless firecom systems throughout everything. So this way we can communicate with each other pretty much wirelessly in and around the truck. So that helps out. Coming out here, we have our first compartment. Inside this compartment, you can see we have a place for all of our roof hooks. This is a location we can put our water can, some of our commonly used high priority type of tools. So the idea is that the high priority things and the more frequently used tools are located right here. So as soon as somebody gets out of bucket 2, bucket 2's equipment is located right here. So for things like fires or vehicle extrications, a lot of that the quick equipment is located right in that area. Moving back into the first compartment, just like with this one, it's decreasing in priority levels. So this is our most frequently high priority compartment, which is typically like our fire related stuff. And then it's going to go down into our extrication stuff. And then it's going to continue to diminish as we go down the truck. That way we can help to increase the speed at which once you get out of the rig, we can start to work on trying to get that equipment there faster. So in this area, this is where we're planning on holding all of our different types of vehicle struts. This is a transverse compartment, so all of these can all be accessed from both sides of the vehicle. So whether we park on one side or the other, this tray can be able to be moved out on the driver's side or on the officer's side. So if we need to be, slide up onto like a guardrail, or we have a busy roadway, or we have any other obstructions, we don't always have to have the full access completely around the vehicle to be able to get some of those needed things out. This is also a really nice compartment. This one moves all the way out. We went through and recessed all of the electrical panels. That way we can be able to utilize this shelf most effectively. And then moving down in priority, this is also our extrication compartment. We put a sloped floor in through here. So this is where we're going to end up putting a lot of our wooden cribbing. This is a location for our extrication tools. We have Homatro powered hydraulic equipment. We do have our traditional setup with all of our 100-foot reels. We have 2 coming off of either side, but we also have a complement of battery-operated tools and battery-operated pumps. In here, it's another separate compartment. This could be access for a lot of saws, a lot of roof applications. We decided to do a bifold door here instead of a lifting door. We chose that because we liked having this option instead of having to reach up super high to be able to get to some of that. So this is the location where our Homatro hydraulic pump is. This is an electric pump. This feeds the 2 lines, the 2 reels off of this side. The nice thing about this is that it's not hard mounted into the vehicle. There's an access panel that can be removed from the interior of the walk-in, so you can add fluids, you can do your checks on that. It can easily be removed. That way, as if we need to send one out for repairs, we don't have to put the whole vehicle out of service. We can go through and swap the pumps out and put a brand new one in, or put a reserve one in, and be back up and running. The other nice thing is we have the same setup on the other side. So if one pump goes down, we have a whole other separate pump that's still able to be functional throughout all of our needs. Coming back to the rear, we obviously have the large chevron setup. We went with another setup with this other special compartment back here, which cuts into the other side, but we thought this was pretty vital. So again, the priority is reduced. We have our air hose set up here. This is all hooked up to an Atlas Copco air compressor, and all of those controls are accessed here, so we can turn the air compressor on, we can dial everything up, we can feed the reel. Got a 200-foot reel right there. This is another area that we're going to be using for some of our more like DOT type of equipment, like traffic cones, things like that. And on this side, it's similar to the same setup, except we got our electrical reel. So we have our electrical reel, and then we went through and we have an elevated night scan here. You can see up here we got our anchor points. So these are 9,000-pound anchors. Those are configured down here. Also for our winch setups, as well as our monopod. We have our winch, our receiver hitch setups here. We can use either a remote winch, which would be stored in here, and that can be removed and placed into here. We have our electricity right there to be able to run it. We can also use these as anchor points for our 2-to-1s with using these winches, or we can use this for our monopod, which will then tie up to our anchors up there so that we can do any type of high directional off the rear easier. So we have the walk-in, but it doesn't go into the cab area. We can take a quick walk up here. Right off the bat, this is where we have some of our ladders. It's a very small complement of our ladders. Usually it's just a 14 and a 24. It is a smaller 24. That way it fits in there. In here, we have plenty of locations for all of anything from rope to confined space equipment. These are also those access panels we talked about where the Homatro stuff is located. This stuff can easily be removed and make access. We have a variety of different types of lighting setups. So in this configuration, it's the white light, but we can also change over and run to a red light for operating and for like nighttime operations and things back here. This area is all temperature controlled as well. You can see we have a grab handle up here. This isn't necessarily for holding on, but also for holding up dry suits, ice suits, things like that for drying. And then as you can see down there towards the end, that's where our air conditioner, our fan, our heaters are. So this whole area can be used as a drying avenue. These are all set up, spaced out, so that we can have equipment and have everybody's PPE set around in small little cubicles, so that you can sit down, you can get dressed out in your Swiftwater stuff, your ice suits, and then be able to don that stuff quickly and be able to move out. In addition, we have more locations up for here for some of our larger medium pressure airbags. And then you can see up here we have a little custom ladder made up that drops down so that we can make access through the scuttle hatch, because we have anchors that are running along the side of the rig on both sides for rope applications. So this allows us to easily get up there and be able to do the rigging and all for rope applications. So another nice thing about this apparatus is that it's we configured it for an air ride suspension. So, but at the same time, with the thoughts of being able to use the roof anchors, either this one or the 3,000-pound ones that are on the roof line down this side of the truck, we wanted to be able to tension things and not have to worry about the air suspension compensating for it. So we put an air dump in the rear. So when we utilize the air dump, anytime that we have some winching operations or rope applications when we're going to be tensioning things heavy, we can also operate the air dump, which will drop the apparatus down. And what this helps to do is it's obviously going to take and put the axle in contact with the frame, so that any type of rigging that you're doing off of the apparatus doesn't take into consideration the air adjustments for the air suspension. So hopefully that'll work out really good. That was kind of a neat idea that some of the people from Pierce came up with and suggested. So and so far with the air suspension, we really enjoy it with the maneuverability and some of like the comforts as we've been riding around through Appleton and all. It's actually been a big improvement in comparison to the axles that we've typically operated with. Just as in the rear, we can set up to do a monopod off and then utilize these roof anchors, or I'm sorry, these eye anchors up here. We can also do the same thing off of the side of the vehicle too. So we can set up and do a monopod here and then utilize these two roof anchors up there to be able to do that. We can also operate and do a same monopod on the ground out separate from the winch or the receiver hitch, and we can operate and do that if we want a larger footprint. These are spaced a little bit farther apart than those, so it all just depends on the situation and what we might need at that time. So those are things, some of the versatility that we ended up being able to come up and then put into the vehicle to help to accomplish our needs that way. Most of all these compartments are set up similar. Again, we have the hydraulic pump location there. That's there, which is the exact same location as the one on the other side. We also have the same bifolding doors here. So just like on the other side, this is one of our extrication compartments. Just like the other side, we have our pre-connected tools that are sitting up here, 100-foot reels, the Hamatro setup. Each one of them are going to be a different color. So we have blue, we got black over here, we have opposing colors on the other side. This is also a location for a lot of our cribbing. Just the other side, it's a mirror. This side is going to be set up slightly different than the opposing side. And the reason for that is obviously because we have bucket one's operation here. As soon as they get out of the vehicle, they have a different responsibility. So they have their first compartment, which is going to house their irons, their water can, hydrorams. They got their hooks. They have other versatility that they can put in there, and they can set up for each one of their own custom ways of how they want to operate and how they want to run. But as soon as they get done with that compartment, the first one back, this is the first compartment back from bucket one. And this is going to be where a lot of our EMS equipment's located. So just like the same thing as the opposing side, it's based up off of priority and frequency. So basically as bucket 1 comes off, their responsibility on an EMS call is going to be able to grab that equipment. It's going to be closer down to them so they don't have to walk down to the back of the truck or walk into the walk-in and so on. So they have that. These are the same, whatever we call these things, shelves. These are the same shelves that we have on the other side because it's a transverse compartment. So like we saw on the other side, these shelves can get pushed out that way, or they can get pulled out this way, and you can be able to grab all of your struts and so on like that from either side of the vehicle. So, you know, if this is going to be the location of where the accident is, let's say, we can pull the equipment off of here, but if it's on the other side of the truck, we can easily move that stuff. This is our officer compartment. So in here we have a trough that's built through, so you can put a roof hook through there, you can put a Halligan bar in there, you can do whatever type of tool of your choice. This is a location where we can also incorporate another shelf in here. You can put a helmet up there, you can put any other types of equipment in there that you might have for your own person. And we got the chargers in there for flashlights, thermal imagers, things like that. And I guess traditionally that compartment is also backed up to the same metering compartment that's over here in front of bucket 1, as well as on the opposing side in the driver's compartment. Mainly through here, it's the same typical setup, nothing crazy or nothing too special. We have the fire comm set up, as you can see by the head setup through there, the clean cab area. And really we'll end up putting a computer up there and then some other maps and so on back in this area. But probably the biggest things are the controls that we have on both sides that work out for both the driver and the officer. So whether the driver needs to be able to access to be able to turn on scene lights on the side of the vehicle while in operation, the officer can take care of that stuff too. One of the areas that we're more proud about is with our front bumper. So this is a whole customized front bumper that we worked with Pierce pretty extensively on. So here on the front, we have the slam latches. So these latches open up, this piece drops down, then this piece moves up, and this is our chain compartment. So this is where we're going to keep plenty locations of our chain. This bar is only here temporarily, it's going to get removed. But basically we'll be able to take that chain, and instead of lifting it all out and then moving it over and scratching up the bumper, we basically just remove that whole process. So we can grab stuff and we can just go instead of having to worry about dragging it over to the front. If we need to drag it over and go over to the officer side or the driver's side, we did a nice round edge on there. That way we just try to improve the longevity of it all. In the front, we have the slam latches again. That piece drops down. This opens up. Inside we have a 15,000-pound winch, synthetic rope set up, and we also have we got our air horns inside the frame rails here, and then we have that nice access, so we don't have to have any complications with trying to make access. But we also keep everything nice and clean on the front side, so it doesn't appear that we have any of that stuff. So we kind of keep all that stuff nice and protected. But we still have our tow eyes up here so we can operate that winch and do a 2-to-1 if we need to. We have our recessed federal in, and then we have another location here, which is another small area, another small box that can be used for chain or any other types of accessories and stuff like that, like maybe snatch blocks or shackles, things like that, that we might need to be able to put in there. So that was a quick walk around of our new Velocity cab, our heavy duty rescue, single axle with the air ride suspension. So thanks for watching, and appreciate you taking the time.